Alright, in today's video we're going to go ahead and take a look at the SuperHandy Stump Grinder. Let's get to it. Before we get started, I'll go over a couple of specs. It's got a 9 horsepower gas engine. You've got 10-inch pneumatic tires. Allows you to maneuver it pretty well. It's got a 13.5-inch cutting head here with removable carbide teeth. So if you hit a rock and chip a tooth, you can easily put on some new ones, which is great. It is belt driven. You can access the belt on this side if ever you need to replace the belt. It's also got a little debris catcher right here, and it's got another one right back here. That way it doesn't throw anything at your feet. But yeah, today we're going to be testing it out on this stump here. This is an old apple tree stump. Apple wood is pretty tough. I've split a bunch of wood, and apple wood is always a bit of a challenge. Let's check the size of this stump here. So we're looking at like 7 inches in diameter on this side. Looks like we've got some sort of grapevine, maybe poison ivy vine attached to it. But we've got 12 inches this way. So we'll go ahead and test it out on this, and we'll head in the woods and see if we can find a larger stump to test it out on. Alright, got the stump cut flush to the ground. That chain on my chainsaw is pretty much shot. I got to get it sharpened, but that's why I was okay with it hitting the dirt a little bit. But yeah, got the stump cut flush to the ground. So next I'm going to go ahead and fire up the stump grinder and grind this stump and see how it performs. Alright, I just finished up grinding this apple tree stump with the SuperHandy Stump Grinder. I think it performed really well considering the density of this apple wood. Apple wood is actually more dense than oak, cherry, and maple, which is kind of your most common trees in our area. I was a little surprised to see that. I knew it was pretty tough stuff, but I didn't think it was going to be more dense than oak. So all things considered, I think this performed really well. I was going pretty slow with the stump grinder and just kind of slowly picking at it. I had Vanessa filming, and I had a couple other cameras on tripods, so I didn't want to send a rock flying or send a wood chip flying or anything like that. So I'm in no rush with this, so I thought it would just be best to take my time. If you buy one of these, you can probably go a little bit harder. But for me, I have all the time in the world, so I just want to kind of take it easy. You know, obviously there's other stump grinders on the market that's going to allow you to go much faster. For example, you've got 3-point stump grinders that can go on the back of your tractor and other power equipment, but those are also 3-4 times the cost. So considering the price of this machine, and it's a manual operated stump grinder, I think it performed excellently, and I'm thrilled to have it. And now I have the ability to cut a tree down and get rid of the stump relatively easily. So I'm thrilled to have it. I think next I'm going to go in the woods, and I found a few other stumps, and we'll test it out with a different species. All right, I loaded the stump grinder, a wheelbarrow to get some fill dirt, and the chainsaw up on the trailer, and we headed out in the woods. I've got this stump here that I think we're going to test out grinding next. I believe once I chainsaw this flush to the ground, I think it's going to be beyond the advertised limit. The listing says this can grind stumps up to 12 inches. I think this is going to be closer to anywhere from 14 to 16 inches at the base. So we'll grind that off and we'll test it out. I'm not 100% sure what species this is. I think it's an ash tree, but I often get ash and elm mixed up. But I think it's the same species as to whatever this tree is here. So I'm not 100% sure. The leaves also look like it could be a black walnut tree, so I'm not 100% sure. If any of you guys know what species this stump is based off of what the bark looks like, feel free to correct me and let me know in the comments. But yeah, I'm going to unload the stump grinder, cut this off flush, and we'll test it out. Alright, so the chain on my chainsaw is absolutely smoked, so I went and grabbed this new one. I'm probably going to cut up a little higher, considering I have a new chain and I really don't want to hit the dirt with it. So I'm going to put this on and then we'll get back to cutting. Alright, that new chain on the chainsaw cut much better than the old chain. So yeah, we're roughly 17 inches in diameter. I believe the product listing on Amazon advertises stumps up to 12 inches. I don't see why you can't do stumps larger than 12 inches as long as you just take your time and go slow with it. But I'm going to go ahead, grab the stump grinder, and we'll see how it does. Just got this stump all grinded up. Really impressed with how the stump grinder performed. It took me roughly 30 minutes, give or take a few minutes, to get the stump grinded up. I was really impressed with it. There was even this long, large root that came out this way that we were able to get that grinded up as well. I think you could even go larger in diameter. I think it's just the larger the stump, it's just going to take a little bit longer. But I think as long as you're just slow and steady and chip away and kind of grind that stump down, I don't really see why you couldn't go much larger. Maybe that's something we'll test out in the future. I know I've got some massive stumps on the property. Next, I'm going to rake this and level this out, and then I'm going to go get some fill dirt to level out the first stump that we grinded up. That stump was in my yard. This one is just in the woods, so I don't have to dress this one up as nicely. In conclusion, I'm really pleased with the SuperHandy stump grinder. It's the only stump grinder I've ever operated, so I can't really speak on how it performs in comparison to other stump grinders. If you are considering purchasing the SuperHandy stump grinder, I will leave an Amazon affiliate link in the description of this video. If you click that link, I will make a little bit of commission on the sale. This video is not a sponsored video, but my company, Garvey Media, it's a video production company. We do shoot for SuperHandy. They did send us this unit. However, they're not paying us to make this review video, but they do pay us to make other videos for their company, for their social media, their website, and their advertising platforms and stuff like that. However, that being said, I'm only going to review stuff on our channel that I would personally buy, and this stump grinder I think is something I would buy, considering how helpful it is. I think it's priced right, and considering the cost of some other ones, I think it's a pretty fair deal. But I think that's going to do it for this one, guys, and we'll catch you in the next one. Thanks.